You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, guys, yesterday the Dallas Cowboys played the New York Football Giants on Thanksgiving Day. And after the game, Jerry Jones actually addressed the media. And of course, we're going to be focusing on that controversial photo that surfaced from the Washington Post a few days ago, where they actually tried to smear Jerry Jones as a type of segregationist and a racist because he's actually never hired a black head coach. Now, Jerry Jones actually addressed some of those things, and we're going to dive into that in this video, guys. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm genuine. Cowboys Jerry Jones discusses attending 1950s desegregation demonstration, his perspective on NFL race relations. Now, I don't want to rehash everything I actually said in my previous video, but to sum it up, Jerry Jones said he went there because he was just curious, even though his head football coach just said he didn't want any of his players actually going there. But he went there anyway. He was actually in the back, and there's the picture. If you actually look at it, he's just looking curious, like what's kind of going on. He wanted to actually see this. He was not actually provoking any of the black students whatsoever. He was in the back. If you look at the picture, there's like three white older students that are doing the provoking. Jerry Jones was just standing in the back. He was looking, and the Washington Post tried to smear him. And stay to the end of this video, guys, because we're going to expose the Washington Post for being hypocrites. But let's go ahead and dive into this. I'm not going to read all of this because there's a lot of other stuff on there. But he addresses the picture, and he talks about his hiring practices. Now, newsflash, folks, Jerry Jones is not going to hire anybody based on race. He is way, way beyond that. He believes in hiring the best person for the job. So let's go ahead and get into this, guys. As soon as I find my spot right here, this is what he said addressing the photo here. He says, quote, that was, 65 years ago, and curious kid, I didn't know at the time the monumental event that was going on, Jones said Thursday night. I'm sure glad that we're a long way from that. I am. That will remind me. Just continue to do everything we can to not have those kinds of things happen. And of course, he said he was more curious about everything. And this is the photo right here. Kind of small, but Jerry Jones is right here in the back. And you can see the three other white kids, older white kids, provoking the black kids right there. But it says here, Jones declined to confirm that he regretted attending the demonstration, emphasizing what the teenage Jerry was instead most concerned about, whether he get in trouble with his football coach, who had warned players to stay away. Jones said his coaches indeed, quote, kicked my ass for attending. Nobody there had any idea, frankly, what was going to take place, Jones said. I've got a habit of sticking this nose in the right place at the wrong time. It is a reminder to me of how to improve and do things the right way. I'm not cavalier about it. I'm genuine about it. Jones initially answered 8 questions about the photo before a group of roughly 24 reporters. At the 9th question, he told the reporter, asking that he would be glad to visit, but at that point would answer questions about the game. Several minutes later, as the crowd of reporters thinned, Jones revisited the conversation of his experience and beliefs on race relations after the game. Now, check this out. I didn't even know this about Jerry Jones. He said this here. He spoke of his family growing up in a mostly black neighborhood in Arkansas, a hometown he has always felt connected to, and also brought players, including Troy Aikman, to visit, Jones said. See, I didn't even know that Jerry Jones grew up in a mostly black neighborhood in Arkansas. Did not know that. He emphasized his family's philanthropic efforts in those neighborhoods and framed his experiences growing up in segregated times as part of his background. Quote, those years certainly marked me and made me a way that, as we all stand here today, we look for ways to get better, ways to do it better, Jones said. You may have noticed in the same article, I was the only one that volunteered. Of all the owners, I was the only one to talk about it, and I'll talk about it all day long, because the Washington Post thing was trying to interview every single owner, and apparently Jerry Jones was the only one to actually talk about this and the number of black coaches actually in the NFL. But he says, I'm not afraid. Jones also discussed, as he did in the Post article, how necessary connections and networking are for upward mobility in the NFL. He pointed to hiring head coaches Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, who happened to be white, but they had connections to Jerry Jones, after prior friendships, and downplayed how race could factor into networking. Jones said he could help coaches, including black coaches, network and connect with those who will promote them. Now, obviously, nobody was criticizing Jerry Jones for hiring Jimmy Johnson and somewhat to a lesser extent Barry Switzer, because both of those coaches won Super Bowls. He disputed implications that he would actively avoid hiring diverse candidates, citing how more than 50% of his coaching staff identifies as minority. Advocating for progressive policies on diversity, he said, wasn't top of mind when he bought the Cowboys and immediately faced financial challenges. Jones said he was, quote, fighting for my freaking life and focused nearly exclusively on solvency. Today, Jones has hired and says he will hire diverse candidates when they are his best business option. But he's not focused on the racial makeup of his staff and active diverse recruitment. I'm pretty sure the woke sports media is going to lose it when he says that. Quote, my goal when I get up in the morning is to make it work, Jones said. And I don't care whether it's you or you or you. Hell, we got to make it work. That's where I go. As far as who makes it to work, what they look like, who makes it work. That has no place in my life, no place. It isn't even a thought about who makes it work. So he's not focused on race. He's not. But however, the Washington Post, who wrote the hit piece, they were definitely focused on race, as they tried to smear this man for a photo from 65 years ago. Well, the Washington Post is hypocrites, guys. Check this out. I found this here. This is the Washington Post workforce demographics here. The Washington Post is an organization that values and is committed to building a stronger culture of diversity and equity, where current and future Washington Post employees can thrive in an inclusive and respectful environment. Well, guys, this is the 2022 snapshot of the organization. Now, they talking about diversity and equity. Check this out. Majority of all of their employees are white, 55.2%, whereas black employees are 17.8%. And when it comes to leadership, because the head coach is a leader, right? It's even worse. It's less diverse. The leadership for the Washington Post, 64.3% white. Only 15.5% are black. It's kind of funny also, guys. Nobody's actually pushing for the NFL to hire Asian head coaches and to get more Asian players. You never hear about that at all. But don't you guys find it kind of hypocritical here that the Washington Post is trying to criticize Jerry Jones for not hiring black head coaches, but yet their leadership is mostly all white at the Washington Post? Unbelievable, guys. Now, when it comes to the news and editorial stuff, which is the main focus of the Washington Post, it's even worse. Out of all the employees, about 66% are white, 9% are black. And when it comes to leadership, even worse, 73% are white, 9.3% are black. But they say that they're actually focused on diversity. Really? Now check this out. Let's scroll down here. This is the trend data down here, where if you look at this, black employees at the Washington Post have been declining since 2017, but they're focused on diversity, right? In 2017, let's say 24% of employees were black. It declined every single year, and it's down to 17.8%. This company is hypocritical. Now, do you want the equivalent of a head coach with the Washington Post? This is their leadership here. Yeah, the top leaders, they're all white. The CEO, Frederick Ryan, he's white. Sally Busby, executive editor, white. James W. Colley Jr., VP of production, white. They are hypocrites, man. This company is hypocrites, and they tried to smear Jerry Jones. Whereas the players that Jerry Jones actually does have is like what? 80% black, 80% black. But the Washington Post employees, they don't have a whole bunch of black employees. They have them, but not a whole lot. They are frauds. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.